Coping with Tre Tailor, giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we'll always be coping with something. Coping.
Hey, happy Friday. I'm Tre Tailor, and thank you so much for joining us for Coping with Tre Tailor. Today, we're coping with violence among intimate partners. The ladies from the Hive joined us today. Dr. Valerie Ekwe and is the director of operations at the Hive Community Circle. And also joining us is Ari Foster, who is a clinical program director for the Hive. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They will tell us about the organization and discuss intimate partner violence in communities of color. That next and more on Coping with Tre Tailor. But first, your COVID community updates. SCDHEC is holding a drive-through COVID vaccine and testing clinic tomorrow. This after numbers show that they are high in South Carolina, particularly in the Midlands. The free clinic will be held 7:30 to 11:30 tomorrow morning for those ages 6 months and older. No appointment needed, and both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine or booster will be available. This Wellness Wednesday, we talked about Hispanic Heritage Month. Several activities are taking place throughout the Midlands for family, kids, and more, featuring food, fun, and activities. Check out the screen for more information. SCDHEC does have your most updated list of time, dates, and location for COVID testing and vaccinations, and also flu shots in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. Now, throughout the show, you will see information scrolling at the bottom of the screen like you see right now. We'll have information about testing, about where you can get free tests, also the information for veterans where you can get your COVID vaccine and test, which is at the VA. We'll also share information about the retail outlets that have the COVID vaccine: Kroger's, Walgreens, the CVS, and also the CVS, which are located in Target stores. We'll be scrolling information about the Comet bus system, where not only you can get a free COVID test, but you can also get a ride to get your vaccination. Financial services will also be scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you need them. That includes the SC Bar Association and SC Legal Services toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. SC Housing and Dominion Energy has rental and utility assistance, as does Lexington County, and also the NAACP is collaborating with Lexington United Way to provide free housing services. If you or someone you know is having a challenge coping with COVID, the South Carolina Department of Mental Health has a 24-hour assistance line. Call SC Hopes. We also have information about job opportunities, also food share that is going on at Hyatt Park, and the South Carolina State Fair is going on next month. Don't forget, not only can you buy discount tickets right now, but you can also get a part-time job at the South Carolina State Fair. Also, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, we'll have information about the First Community Bank access to capital for minority businesses. Now, we talked to Henry Baskins yesterday with the Chamber of Commerce. They talked about a great program that they have available, and First Community Bank also has an access to capital for minority business event that's happening next month. Also, a diabetes prevention program in West Columbia at Lakeview Empowerment Center. Our Wellness Wednesday show is brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council and In It Together SC. They've always got great information about diabetes prevention programs, and they've got one at the Lakeview Center. Also, student repayment. You've heard a lot about this. We did a show about it last week. And if you want more information and have some questions about student repayment, you can see the information on the screen. And you can also see that information going on throughout the show. Last but certainly not least, we talked about this earlier this week. Also, the deadline has been extended till October 15th for any small business or nonprofit that wants and needs funds. Richland County is distributing those funds, and you can log on to their website for more information about applying for those funds. And again, the deadline has been extended through October 15th. All of that information and so much more will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So please post and share so we can continue to get the message to the masses. Well, today we are coping about dating violence and personal relationship violence. And coming up, we're going to talk with the ladies from the Hive. But first, don't forget, we are streaming live on the Tailor Made production page on Facebook. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow, and get notifications as to when we go live Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, and then again on Thursday and Friday. We also are streaming live on our YouTube channel. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button. We've got 3 years of great information, resources, and also interviews to help you cope with whatever you're coping with, because as we say here, we'll always be coping with something. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. We've got the chat on the side, so if you have a question or a comment, please feel free to ask that question, and our guests or myself will be glad to answer it for you. Coming up, the ladies from the Hive Community Circle will talk about dating violence. That and more coming up next on Coping with Tre Tailor. We'll be right back.
Which South Carolina State Fair memory earns your top prize?
One year, I got to ride the swings 3 times. It felt like I was flying into outer space.
The baby ducks waddling to the top of the slide and then splashing down into the water.
The games! Even if I didn't win, someone would help me win a prize.
Once a year, you can surround yourself with memories. And if you're lucky, make even more.
Memories filled with laughter and joy. Find them at the South Carolina State Fair, October 12th through the 23rd.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Hi, I'm Donnie Ray Campbell with Richland County Sheriff's Department. As a strong advocate of healthy lifestyles and habits, I know that taking care of your health is important, which includes knowing if you have prediabetes. Prediabetes is a serious health condition that puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Visit inittogethersc.org and take the online test. This message has been brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with Tre Tailor. I'm Tre Tailor. Don't forget that we are streaming live on the Tailor Made production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with Tre Tailor. And go over there, hit like and share and follow, and find out when we go live, get notifications, which is a Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. And also, from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. And then, of course, we go live on Thursday and Friday also. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. We've got 3 years of information, interviews, and resources on there because we will always be coping with something. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Coming up, we have got our birthday giveaway. Don't want to forget about that. This is my birth month, but we are hooking you up with the prizes. We've got 13 fabulous prizes that we're giving away this month. All you have to do is like, share, and follow. And also over on social media, on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and also on Instagram. When you do that, go to the original post, hit done, and you will qualify for one of 13 prizes. Sabrini's Hair and Nails has donated some items. J. Anthony Brown, legendary comedian George Wallace, Wow Productions, Shea Beauty Supply. We've got a lot of great prizes for you, and every 13 winners will get a fabulous prize pack. So please go ahead and do that before the end of the month. It's my birth month, but you are getting hooked up with the prizes. Well, today we are coping with violence among intimate partners. The ladies from the Hive community join us today. Dr. Valerie Ekwe is Director of Operations at the Hive Community Circle. She's passionate about training and providing technical assistance to service providers. Ari Foster is the Clinical Program Manager for the Hive Community Circle. Her role focuses on the development and provision of advocacy, clinical, and peer support services for survivors of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, and or stalking. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tre.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let's find out, what is the Hive Community Circle? Dr. Ekwe, if you want to, or Ari, either one.
Yes, I can answer. The Hive Community Circle is a nonprofit peer advocacy organization that was created to serve survivors of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, and stalking.
All righty. And it is actually a physical place. Did you guys start out as just an organization and then move to a physical space?
Absolutely. Yes, it started with a dream, a vision, getting connected in the community and making those relationships, and went on to form into the organization we have now. We do have a physical office where we welcome survivors in the community to come in and receive services.
So tell me when and why this was established, why this was an important effort to have.
Yes. In 2016, our ED, Ashley Thomas, she's a social worker and a survivor, really saw a need for an organization that could speak to the needs of so many different types of survivors. There's a lot of different responses to this experience and a lot of different needs. And she saw gaps just in the community. And we really wanted to create an organization that could speak to that, to be able to provide culturally sensitive services to people who are most impacted by intimate partner violence, and to really bring together a community that could really speak to this healing process.
Yeah, you mentioned that you specifically wanted to speak to a cultural audience, and I want to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But tell me, who is the person that can benefit most from the Hive?
Yes, just survivors, people who have experienced intimate partner violence, sexual assault, or stalking, people who might experience a lot of different barriers in trying to access services, people experiencing homelessness, and just a disconnection in general from community or other resources. Any type of survivor, but again, we do emphasize a lot of outreach in those communities that just have a hard time getting connected.
Yeah, and we're looking at the space now, very beautiful space. So I want to ask you, Ari, or Dr. Ekwe, whoever wants to answer, tell me about the specific services and resources that survivors are able to get at the Hive.
Yes, I can answer that. So we have our peer advocacy program, which provides support services for survivors. We have individual counseling in groups, which again just speaks to that healing process and being able to work through the trauma. We also have economic support. So survivors sometimes really just need assistance with getting on their feet or getting certain resources like transitional housing, groceries, just meeting some of those needs in the moment when they are either fleeing a situation or just trying to get back up on their feet. Also just general advocacy and case management. So ensuring that they're connected to resources in the community, because there's a lot, and we love to collaborate with other organizations really to benefit the survivor in that process.
So
We also,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
We also have our education and outreach program. Taylor, she's an amazing, amazing advocate and person who does education in the community. And we speak to this. So we talk with youth, other organizations about healthy relationships, about intimate partner violence, spreading awareness and making sure that people know that we're here.
You mentioned really reaching out to the youth, so I want to stop here and talk about that piece, because I wanted to ask what happens to, or are you able to provide services for someone who maybe isn't a survivor yet, but to kind of let them know about what to look for, what to look out for, what are some of the red flags, so to speak, that young people in college, all old people, anybody, just women and men of any age, to kind of make them conscientious about how not to have to become a survivor, how to just avoid the situation altogether?
Okay, so I can answer that for you. So first of all, I just want to say that, dating violence or intimate partner violence is usually characterized as a pattern or coercive behavior that is used really to gain power and exert power and control over a partner, right? So it comes in many forms, right? It could be physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, verbal abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse, and it can look very different in every situation, right? So it's not totally the same in every relationship. So some of the early warning signs or some red flags or some yellow signs, some warning signs are really poor communication, right? If the perpetrator is unable to communicate effectively. Also a person who has poor conflict resolution skills, right? They're unable to really resolve conflict in a healthy manner. Isolation. Sometimes perpetrators, they isolate their partners from their family and friends. They could have been in a previous abusive relationship, right? Sometimes they blame others for their problems, right? And then they set those unrealistic expectations of their partner. There could be some jealousy, possessiveness, dishonesty, forced sexual activity, threats of violence, psychological abuse, again, name calling. They are very hypersensitive. Sometimes they make all the decisions in that relationship. They can control what the partner wears, where they go, who they're with. They lack emotional intelligence sometimes and cannot manage their emotions. And then they are unable to really regulate those emotions, right? And then sometimes for me, when I think back, because I am a survivor of intimate partner violence, when I think back to my previous relationships, even in high school, what I really realized about my partners, and I didn't really know it at the time because I was just young, so I didn't know, but a lot of times they want to commit too quickly. Like they wanted, like, we got to date now. We got to get married now.
And we look at that as, oh, this is great. He really loves me, you know.
They want to be with you all the time. You know, I went out with a young lady maybe a couple of years ago, and we were at a restaurant, and I believe her spouse called her at least 50 times in a span of an hour. It was so much. It was so obvious. Even she was like making jokes about it. Like, and I was like, that's so unhealthy. But I didn't tell her that at the time because I'm just like, that's your husband. But I felt like that was obsessed. It was a lot. And they, you know, it's not like the kids were home. They had kids. It was just him checking in on her like all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Valerie Ekwe is Director of Operations at the Hive Community Circle. Ari Foster also joins us. She's Clinical Program Manager for the Hive Community Circle. We're talking today on Coping with Tre Tailor about the services and resources that they provide at the Hive, and also about IPV, intimate partner violence among communities of color. Ladies, I want to ask, what is that connection? What are the concerns, and why is it a thing? Even, you know, why is it a thing that there needs to be a focus on intimate partner violence among communities of color? And I have to say, when you say communities of color, you think African American, Hispanic, all color.
Absolutely. Well, here in South Carolina has ranked in the top 10 for intimate from women murdered by men for the past, I believe, is it 19 years? Because one year we were number 6, so we were out of the top. We ranked number 6, right? We're number 6 now. We ranked number 11. We was out of the top 10. I just know we were out of the top 10, right? And so it's a public health problem here in South Carolina. We have a major problem in South Carolina. Women are dying because of this. And, you know, it's one of those neatly kept secrets that's swept under the rug, right? We don't really want to talk about it. It's a hard topic to talk about. A lot of times survivors don't come forward because they're embarrassed of what's going on. They can't control the situation. There's not resources. If you think about someone experiencing poverty or food inequity or housing inequity, and then they have to now deal with intimate partner violence, and maybe that perpetrator is the breadwinner, and they have children and they want to keep their children at home. And sometimes survivors don't see the perpetrator as abusive towards the children. And even I've had to say, if he's abusing you, he's abusing the children, right? Because they get to feel that. They know, even if they're not able to see it or say it, or if he's not doing things in front of them, they could feel like your energy. They feel the energy within that home. Right. So it is a public health problem that we just really need to address. And there's some systemic barriers that prevent survivors from coming forth. And so the Hive is a wonderful organization. I've been with the Hive for I think 2.5 months. It feels like forever. But I've worked with the Hive for over 5 years. And so this organization is really, I just love it because it's really culturally relevant. It's led by survivors. And I just love that we are centering survivors in a way that's going to meet their economic needs as well, right? Not just the counseling and other things, but even their economic needs.
Absolutely. Dr. Ekwe, I want to ask you, and you too, Ms. Foster, if you can chime in, why do you think it's such a big problem here in South Carolina?
That is a great question. And a layered one as well. I think a big part of it is our just history within the state, our cultural history, those experiences that go way, way, way back. For women in general, right? Laws, that have been in place, that have been on the books up until, not too long ago, honestly, that put women at a disadvantage, made it difficult for women to be able to come forward, made it difficult for them to be able to get help and services. Like an example now is there's still a law where in the state of South Carolina, there's no statute of limitations for reporting a sexual assault, meaning if I was assaulted 50 years ago, I can still report today. No one's going to say I can't report. But if I'm in a marriage, right, where there might be a lot of different factors and dynamics and things happening, and I'm assaulted by my spouse, I actually have a limit. I have 30 days to report that in order to actually, be able to go to law enforcement and get assistance with that. So that's just one example of some laws and culture just within the state that make it difficult for survivors to get help, for them to reach out and get services, for them to be believed as they're reaching out to get services. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So as far as family and friends, what do they need to do if they have concerns or if they, maybe suspect something's going on in their loved one's life?
Well, for me, I feel like friends and families need to be very supportive. They need to believe the survivor, and they should do that reflective listening piece. They should ask the survivor what they need, not tell them anything, because sometimes we'll be just like, leave, you need to leave, or why are you staying? Asking those kind of victim blaming questions. So refrain from using victim blaming statements or questions. You let the survivor take the lead in seeking their healing, support their decisions, even if you don't agree, right? And then also it's important to maintain your own safety. And also, make sure that if you're going to report anything, that you let the survivor know. Also, if you call in for services, the survivor has to call in. So you can get the information, just know the resources in your community so that you can give those resources to the survivor. The most dangerous time for a survivor is when attempting to leave, right? That's the most dangerous time. So telling a survivor could be in grave danger, but leaving could cause more harm. So that's sometimes why survivors stay, right? They can return to up to 7 to 9 times or more, right? To that, because of the different type of intersections that they're dealing with, whether it's housing or affordable housing. That's a problem here in South Carolina. We don't have enough transitional and affordable housing for survivors, right? So we don't have the economic piece for survivors, then how are they able to stay out of that relationship?
Yeah.
Also, those cultural barriers too, like married and religion and all of those things that keep a survivor there because of different cultural beliefs. I've had people I've trained tell me we fight hard, we love hard. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't have to fight for love, right?
Right. That's not love. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of this, I think, though, ladies, and would you agree or disagree, is how a person was raised. If they were raised in a fighting household, to your point, Dr. Ekwe, then maybe that's what they deem normal. Do we see that as being a determining factor in why men and women stay or think that maybe non-productive, non-healthy relationships are indeed healthy?
Absolutely. Sometimes, if you grow up in it, I'm going to do a disclaimer, right? Because there are people who grow up in unhealthy relationships at home who don't perpetrate violence, right? Absolutely. But also there are cultural norms within a home, how we deal with conflict.
Yeah.
What we deem as.
We keep everything in the house and
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's all those factors, that go into play. And it starts very early. We need to be teaching prevention very early to, our youth. I mean, because I work with clients in the evenings that they see a lot of intimate partner violence within their families, but also in their communities, they see violence. So you have kids in elementary school perpetrating violence. You have kids in middle school. and definitely in high school, I'm not gonna give away my age, but when I was in high school, our guys were perpetrating violence. I went to Dreher High School, and guys were perpetrating violence against their partners, even at Dreher, and back then. So it's just still something that's very prevalent that's still here. And we really need to talk about setting healthy boundaries early on in a relationship, respecting those boundaries. You have to have your spouse or your loved one, or whoever you are in an intimate partner relationship with, you need to have them respect those boundaries. And then if they, because it's a pattern of behavior, so if they don't, then you need to make sure that you can get out as early as possible, because then relationship investment happens. You're invested in this relationship now. Then there may be kids. You may get married, and now you're just dealing with this for a very long time.
You mentioned teens, and I want to talk about that because we put a slide up earlier about your Teens Bloom program. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Ari?
Yes. Bloom was designed for our younger survivors, so about age 11 to 17 or so, and we would cultivate the group based on the ages that we had available as well. So it would be a good fit. But this space is designed for them to really just get that sense of community and support with other survivors or people who've had shared experiences. And I also want to say, when we use the word survivor, we're referring to people who have experienced the violence directly, but also people who have been impacted by it indirectly. So if you grew up in the household and you witnessed intimate partner violence or sexual assault, you can also benefit from all of our services, as well as the groups. But yes, these young people can get together. And I want to make this disclaimer that with this particular group, they're not being asked to share their in-depth trauma stories or their experiences in detail, but it really focuses on wholeness, healing, and wellness. So we talk about understanding the impact of trauma. We talk about how to know what it looks like to use healthy coping skills and communication and goal setting, things like that, to really help facilitate that healing process in a supportive space.
If someone wants to take advantage of the services and resources available at the Hive, who needs to call or contact them, and how do they need to make that contact with you all?
Absolutely. They can call our main number, 803-888-7725. They can also visit our website. That's thehivecc.org. And just reach out that way. Share that you're interested in services, and we'll definitely get you connected.
All right, that information is on the screen. Please contact the folks at the Hive Community Circle. And I'm assuming that not only can the person that is experiencing the abuse, the dating violence, they can call or contact you guys, but can a family member or friend also call?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we really encourage that, because sometimes you just need someone to talk to, someone to just ask questions to, kind of figure out what are my next steps, or how can I help a loved one, right? How can I get connected? Is this even something that I need services for? Because we do hear sometimes survivors have a lot of questions, right? Sometimes there's a tendency to compare, right? Maybe what I dealt with wasn't as bad as this thing that I've seen. But we encourage anyone, if you have been impacted, right? If you have had an experience that has just left something with you that you want to talk about, that you want to figure out, okay, what can I do? What can I do to heal? What can I do to help someone else? Please give us a call. We are here.
That's great. I love that, because you may think you're going through it and nothing may have happened yet. Nothing may have happened yet, but our spidey sense, our women's intuition feels something, or someone recognizes something. I love that you ladies offer a space and a place and a space, that people can come and talk about. A one-stop shopping, so to speak, for all of the resources that are available in our city and in our state, but just a place where they can, a safe space for them to come and converse. Ari Foster is Clinical Program Manager for the Hive Community Circle, and Dr. Valerie Ekwe is Director of Operations at the Hive Community Circle. Ladies, thank you so much for what you're doing in our community, and thank you so much for joining us today on Coping.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, for more information, you can see the information on the Hive Community Circle on the screen. As they said, if you are affected, or if you know someone who may be, please contact this number and give these ladies a call. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope, please email booking@copingwithtretatailor.com. Or if you have a product or service that could help someone cope, please email copingwithtretatailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with Tre Tailor. We're also sponsored by Palmetto Media Connections, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson, Agape Counseling and Training Services, Black Pages Black Expo, the Comet Bus System, the South Carolina State Fair, and Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall. Next week, we've got a whole nother great week of information for you. We're going to talk with an author who writes books to help young people and teenagers and little ones deal with some of the tough subjects. Also on Wellness Wednesday, we're going to talk about the statistics in the state of South Carolina. All of that and so much more coming up next week on Coping with Tre Tailor. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow is the big wellness walk from the Diabetes Action Council. That's happening tomorrow morning at Segra Park. You still have time to register. It's a free walk. You'll get food and prizes and all kind of great stuff. So coming out and join us for the walk. Also, don't forget, it's my birth month, but we are hooking you up with the prizes. Go to our social media, hit like and share and follow. Let us know that you've done that, and you will qualify for 13 fabulous prizes. We're going to start doing that at the end of the month. It's my birthday, and you guys get the prizes. As always, we leave you with a devotional. We've been reading Jesus Calling. Today is the 23rd, and today Jesus Calling says, "Walk with me in the freedom of forgiveness. The path we follow together is sometimes steep and slippery, but if you carry a burden of guilt on your back, you're more likely to stumble or fall. At your request, I will remove the heavy load from you and bury it at the foot of the cross." Jesus says, when I unburden you, you are undeniably free. Stand up, be tall in my presence so that no one can place any more burdens on your back. Look into my face and feel the warmth of my love light shining upon you. It is this unconditional love that frees you from both fear and sin. Spend time basking in the light of my presence. As you come to know me more and more intimately, you grow increasingly free. Don't you love that? Man, that's some good word today from Jesus Calling. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us today on Coping. Don't forget about the Hive Community Circle. And if you know someone that needs the services, or if you are someone that needs the services, please give them a call and let them know. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care. God bless. Stay well. And if you are going to be in a space where a lot of people are and it's inside, don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you at the walk tomorrow.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive, ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting, learning what you can do, 6 ways to a better you.